Hello everybody, Season 10 is out for Diablo 3, and for the first time ever, it's on consoles as well. So we're going to go over everything that you need to do in order to finish your seasonal journey and get the awesome Portrait, Pennant, and Stash tab. Although I don't think you can get the Stash tab on console, at least that's what I recall being the case. I'm also not sure which steps of the seasonal journey carry over to the consoles. I'm pretty sure all of them do, but in case they don't, just take that with a grain of salt. Now, just like the past few seasons, if you get to Chapter 4, you will have acquired all of your free set that you get. So, for example, the monks this season get Innas, whereas the crusaders get Akans. Chapter 1 to complete is pretty easy. You're looking at completing a normal rift, getting to level 50, killing Cydia, Skeleton King, 5 bounties, socketing 5 gems, which, by the way, you could totally cheat and just unsocket and resocket them again. Blacksmith to level 10, Jeweler and Mystic also to level 10. That's all Chapter 1. That's pretty easy to do. If you're playing the game normally, you're going to get that done. Chapter 2, which is where you get your first gift, which is the first couple pieces of your set, you need to complete an expert rift, which is also very easy, get to level 70, so you're not going to be doing any of this until you hit 70, essentially. You're not going to complete Chapter 2 and get free set pieces early. You have to unlock Kanai's Cube, do Arene and Gome at level 60 plus on hard, so you could do those before hitting 70. Again, if you're playing the game normally, you're going to get those done. Get all artisans to max level, which is level 12. Craft a level 70 item at the jeweler and at the blacksmith. You have to enchant an item, so basically just reforge a property and then also transmogrify an item. All in all, pretty easy to get done if you just want the first 2 set pieces. For Chapter 3, which is going to get you your next Hadrig's gift, you have to do a Master Rift, buy an item from Kadala. Again, this is all just stuff that you're doing normally, so you're going to get it done. Kill Malthael on Master at level 70. Kill Izul, whatever his name is, on Master at level 70. Put a power into the cube, which you can only do at 60 plus once you start getting Death's Breath. Craft an Imperial gem, so just basically upgrade a gem, do all of the bounties. Now, there is a trick with this. So it wants you to essentially get all of the bounty caches. Now, the thing to do here is at level 65, if you're starting fresh and you're not getting your character boosted by someone who's already level 70, is to, at level 65, go and do all of the bounties. Don't turn them into Tyrael, but go and do them all. That way, when you hit 70, you will then go and turn them all in. Not only are the legendaries you're getting out of the cache level 70 at that point, but once you hit level 70, that's when you start getting the jewel crafting recipes out of the caches. And that's important because once you complete Chapter 3 and you're doing Chapter 4, one of the things there is to learn 5 jewel crafting recipes, which you will get once you hit 70 out of the bounty caches. So go and do your bounties at 65, turn them in at 70, then when you open them all up, essentially, which you'll open them all up at once because they'll all be done. You'll get all 5 jewel crafting recipes, and then that's just done. There's also a blacksmithing recipe one that you'll pretty much just get as you go, especially if you complete a set of bounties early on and then reset the game. But once you've done that, the rest of the stuff you need to do for the rest of your free set and to complete the chapter part of the journey is a Torment 1 Rift, Graydrift 20 solo, Diablo and Belial. You have to kill them at level 70. I think Diablo is Torment 2, Belial is Torment 4. You have to upgrade a rare to a legendary. And with the new Kanai's Cube stuff and how all of the resources work, if you just go over to Kanai's Cube, you kind of go through the recipe list until you find upgrade rare to legendary, you fill it in, you put the rare in, and then that's done. Make a weapon with a socket on it. It doesn't have to be a legendary weapon, but you just have to reforge a weapon at the Mystic until that happens. And then you have to kill all of the Key Wardens, Act 1 through 4. Once you do all of that, you will have Chapter 4 done, and you will have your full 6 set bonus. Doing all of that will also grant you the Portrait, the Pennant, and of course your set bonus. So it's a pretty nice little easy thing to do. You should be able to do that within a few hours, honestly. If it takes you 3 to 4 hours to get to 70, if you're going pretty quick, it should take you 1 to 2 hours to get all of chapter 4 done. And then you can move on if you really want to get the additional portrait frames. Now on console, again, I'm not sure what you get here, but you don't get the stash tab. So if you want to get the really cool portrait frames and continue on, then that's a way to do it. But you have to go quite a ways in order to get the stash tab on PC. Now that's actually a little easier than it has been in the past couple seasons, but let's kind of break this down. So starting with Slayer, you have to do a Torment 5 Rift, pretty easy. Graydrift 30 solo, also easy. Siegebreaker and Asmodan on Torment 7. You have to, and by the way, if you have your 6 set bonus from your set, this all should be pretty easy. You equip all 3 cube slots, so you make sure that you have a legendary power for the weapon, an armor, and a jewelry slot in the cube, and get that. Get a legendary from Kadala. You'll have gotten that at this point. 1 gem to rank 25. Complete a set dungeon. You don't have to master it. You just have to complete it and do essentially the Uber bosses. But the thing with that is on the Slayer part of the achievement, it only wants you to do the 2 of them on Torment 1, whereas on the Champion part, the next part, it wants you to do the other 2 on Torment 10. So you may as well just do all 4 of them on Torment 10 and get the required materials from that. Use those to craft a Hellfire Amulet. You get that recipe from Squirt in Act 2 in town, and then that will complete something later on down the line. But once you do all that, you'll have the first variant portrait frame. To get the next one, you have to do a Torment 10 Rift in under 6 minutes. Pretty easy. Graydrift 40 solo, Butcher and Zoltan Cool on Torment 10. Convert a set item. So essentially, if you have an extra set item that is a set with more than 2 pieces, go to the cube, convert it to a different set piece of the same set, of course. It's just a different piece of that set. Craft a Flawless Royal Gem, which you may need to complete more bounties in order to get the recipe for that. Just a heads up, but at that point you'll need to have done that in order to put more stuff into your cube. Make 3 gems for rank 20 or rank 35. That's pretty easy to do. By the way, that one goes all the way up to 70. So if you're going all the way to the end of the seasonal journey, it's 3 gems to rank 70. So just keep, getting 3 good gems up all the way to 70, and you'll be good with that. You want to master a set dungeon for this portrait frame as well. If you can complete a set dungeon, typically you'll want to master that same set dungeon because you'll have everything for it and you'll know how to do it at that rate. Mastering most of the dungeons is pretty easy unless you're doing like the Wrath of the Waste set for the barbs. That one's pretty difficult, and so are a couple of the other ones for Wizard and Witch Doctor. But they've toned those down a bit, so you could pretty much do any set dungeon, master it. For the next portrait frame, you'll need to do Torment 12 Rift in under 6 seconds, Graydrift 50 solo, Urzael and Rakanoth on Torment 13. Put 20 cube powers into your cube, so 20 legendary powers in there. 3 gems to rank 45. Again, we went over that, and 1 conquest. Now, the conquests for this season are interesting. And like always, you have the normal and hardcore versions of these, but the 5 that we have are Sprinter, which is Act 1 through 5 in under an hour, so doing the story in under an hour, which that's been a staple of almost every season, if I recall correctly. Then you have On a Good Day, which is 3 gems to 65, or I Can't Stop, which is the hardcore version. The boss mode, Conquest, all bosses dead in 20 minutes on Torment 10 from the start of the game. We'll talk about that one. Years of War is Graydrift 55 with 6 different class sets. And then the last one is Master 8 set dungeons. Now, these are actually really easy to do this season, in my opinion. If you've been doing the Sprinter one, the complete Act 1 through 5 in under an hour, and you know how to do that, you're going to want to flock to that one anyways, because that one's pretty easy for you. It's been a staple of most of, I think it might be every single season that's had a conquest on it. It might have been in there. But the other ones that I would suggest doing, if you don't know how to do that one, are the 3 gems to rank 65. That's easy to do because that's something you're going to be doing anyways if you're trying to complete the seasonal journey, because you have to get 3 gems to 70. So, getting 3 gems to 65 is just one step from that. The boss mode conquest is actually a lot easier to do than you might think. We did it with 2 people on Torment 10, and remember, this is to kill all of the bosses on adventure mode in 20 minutes from the start of the game on Torment 10. It's really easy to do. We did it with me on my monk and my buddy on his wizard. And essentially, the way we did it was you start on Act 5, and we went backwards. So we went Act 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we would split up. So as soon as the game started, I went to Adria, and he went to Malthael. And what would happen is when one of us was getting close to the boss, we would say, we're almost there. The other person would then clean up whatever mobs were attacking them, because essentially you're just running to the boss, right? You're not actually killing things. So you would clean up any mobs around you, then teleport back to town using your town portal, and then the person would start the boss while you're in town, and you would hit accept. You would get in there because you have to be there for the kill. Both of you would kill the boss, and instead of town portaling back to town, you open up your map. If you're the person who went back and were already on your way to, say, Adria, in this case, you would open up your map and just click on whatever town's act you're in, and it would take you back there but not use your town portal. So then you can walk back through your portal and be exactly where you were when you left off on your way to that boss. So the bosses that are like really hard to get to, like Adria, and what used to be Malthael was one of the harder ones, but you just go backwards now and he's pretty much right there. But the ones that are harder to get to, you'll want to do that on, and we did it within 16 minutes. So for us, it was pretty easy. We were pretty geared at that point, but you can do it with 2 people. You may even be able to do it with 1 person, but that might be stretching it. With 2 people, it's possible. So that one's pretty easy to do. And then completing Graydrift 55 with 6 different sets is also very easy because your class has 4 sets on it, and they've done a pretty good job of boosting all of the sets up. I would say every single set in the game could do Graydrift 55 on its own. So if you are playing your main character and you're going through and doing the normal stuff that you'd be doing, you know, doing high Graydrifts and whatever, you're eventually going to gather up all 4 of your sets, or at least have enough pieces that if you had a Ring of Royal Grandeur that you'd be able to complete the 6 pieces with that. So what you then do is go in and complete a Graydrift 55 with each of the sets. You can find builds pretty much anywhere online. It's all pretty easy with each set. I don't think there's any set in particular that struggles with Graydrift 55. So you go through, you do all that, and you've already completed 4 of the 6 here. So then you just get another character boosted up, with maybe with one of your friends leveling you up, or you just go level another character with a Gem of Ease. You then pretty much play your main character, and any shards, any blood shards that you have that are left over, you go and spend those on that second character. You get 2 more sets with that one. You go do Graydrift 55. It's done and dusted. But if you really want to test yourself, do the Master 8 set dungeons. So you're going to need 2 classes completely maxed out with all of their sets in order to do this, and you'll need to know how to do each set dungeon. The ones with the hardest set dungeons are Barbarian, Wizard, Monk has a hard one, and so does Witch Doctor. As far as Crusader, all of his are easy. And I guess so is the Demon Hunter as well. Now, when it boils down to if you're going to do all 3 of the conquests in order to get this done, and you're playing on hardcore, you probably already know which ones you're going to go for. But if you're struggling in hardcore, at least get 1 of these or 2 of these done on your hardcore character, and then just go make a normal character and do one of the ones that you already did on normal mode, because of course it all counts. But let's wrap up the rest of the seasonal journey. So the second to last one to get the cool portrait frame, and this is also the one that gets you the stash tab, by the way. So this all is pretty easy to do, and it's much easier than previous seasons. So if you want to get that stash tab, you should be able to do this pretty easily. So Torment 13, Rift in under 5 minutes, a Graydrift 60 solo. If you can do all the 55s, you could do a Graydrift 60. Kill Magda on Torment 13 in under 15 seconds. We did it, I think, in under 5 seconds. It's pretty easy. If you have a well-geared, DPS character, they should be able to do it. We had a wizard with the Lightning Archon build that just kind of destroyed it. I don't think I'd even hit her, and she just died. Kill Greed on Torment 13, so if you get a puzzle ring, just take the puzzle ring and put it in the cube without anything else and transmute it. It'll open up a Graydrift. Otherwise, they come out from goblins. Reforge a legendary. That's pretty easy. You'll need 5 of the each axe bounty crafting material in order to do that. 150 plus augment. I'll explain that in a moment, but let's talk about the final tier to get the last portrait, which is just for, cool sake. If you want the last portrait, it's to do a Torment 13 Rift in under 4 minutes, so 1 minute shorter from the previous one. Complete Graydrift 70 solo, which every class should be able to do fairly easily. Kill Adria on Torment 13 in under 15 seconds, so kind of just like the previous one, but Adria has slightly more health. Also pretty easy to do, especially if you have that crazy wizard. Extract 40 powers into your cube. That's pretty easy. You're going to need to do a lot of bounties in order to do that. And we already talked about the 3 conquests and the 3 gems to rank 70. So let's go back 1 tier and talk about the 150 plus augment. So essentially it deletes a legendary gem that is level 50 plus in order to put some of your main stat on your gear. So if you aren't too worried about playing past the seasonal journey and you're not struggling with doing your greater rifts, essentially get your 3 gems to rank 70 and then take one of those gems and do the augment and put whatever stat on it that you want. Again, that is all on the cube. You can see the recipe there. And by doing that, you will not only complete the 3 gems to rank 70, but you'll also complete the 150 plus augment. And if you've done everything else and you've completed your 3 conquests and whatnot, then you'll get both Conqueror and Guardian done all at once. But that wraps up the seasonal journey, and you're going to be done for the season. It's generally a lot easier than it has been for the previous seasons, and if you're looking to complete the seasonal journey or get the stash tab, you'll be able to this season if you haven't in previous ones. Or if you're just looking to mess around in the season and see how far you can get, you will generally get much further than you have in the past, because again, the objectives are slightly easier than they have been. But with all of that being said, I wish you luck in your seasonal journey and getting it done. Hopefully you can get the stash tab if you haven't already, and we shall see you guys next time.